Forge, Chapter 13. Eben stopped speaking to me after that. I welcomed the silence. John Burns saw the coldness between us and befriended Eben, pouring out hollow compliments and listening with false attention to the stories about Aunt Patience and two-headed calves. It mattered not to me. I worked, slept, ate, and cleaned my gun. Work, slept, ate, and cleaned my gun. The other fellows fell into a pattern of card playing and dice after supper. Greenlaw invited me to join, but my peevish mood was not suitable for games. I sat close to the light of the fire and tried to carve a bird from a piece of pine. Good thing Isabel wasn't around to see it. She would have mocked me endlessly on account of my carving looked more like a beaked pig than a bird. It was harder than ever to soldier my thoughts about her. My mind would run off without leave, and I'd figure myself wondering if she had a warm place for winter. Or mayhaps she had made it to Charleston after all and wouldn't have to worry about the snow. I jabbed the point of my knife into the meat of my thumb to remind myself that idle speculation about a girl who hated me was foolish. We were soon ordered to move south again, marching and then marching some more, 10 or 15 miles a day. Sergeant showed us on a map that our path was straight as a musket's barrel. The map was useless. It did not show the mountains we had to climb, nor the treacherous mud that stopped the wagons, or the empty miles of fields and trees we passed. Ever nervous that the British or Loyalists waited to ambush us at the next curve of the road, we passed 30 of tidy villages flanked with farms and filled with generous folks who let us sleep in their barns and feed us the best they could. Do you think any of those villages were marked up on the map? Sargent said no, they weren't. Seems to me that map making was a profession for the Applepates. We paused at the small camp in Jersey, so the captains could confer with the other captains about the state of the war and gossip about General Washington. Despite the near freezing air, I stripped off my shirt and stockings and washed them in lye soap and hot water in hopes of drowning all of the vermin that had begun to live in them. My clothes were still damp when we were ordered to march again, this time into Pennsylvania. For all the talk of battles and gunfire, soldiering was mostly about blistered feet and itchy clothes. We were on our way to join the main body of the army outside of Philadelphia. The British had chased the Congress out of the city whilst we were busy in Saratoga and had settled in there for the winter. Our army was camped a short distance away, where it would stay until spring, for the gentlemen did not like to fight in the cold weather. We thought that this was foolhardy notion. We wanted to beat the British, take back Philadelphia, and end the war. Brown, the fastest running lad, had developed a wicked cough from sleeping in damp fields. He said such rude things about our lazy, lily-livered generals that Greenlaw cuffed him on the head. In the morn of our departure, I saw a crow fall from the sky. Eben saw it too and shot me a worried glance, for it was an omen of a disaster. I opened my haversack and pulled out a small tin box which held the last of the salt for my rations. I pinched it in my fingers and I threw it over my left shoulder to ward off the bad luck. Should have gone over the right shoulder, Eben said. I didn't answer him. We stopped at Newtown in Pennsylvania and took on a wagon filled with heavy barrels and salted beef bought for the army. The roads were little more than rivers and mud, and the wagons got stuck over and over, making us several days late. We arrived at the Gulf in the spot where the winter encampment. As the rain turned into falling bits of ice, there was no army to be seen, just a vast field of mud around a small stone house. Captain Stanwell ordered the 8th Company to their muskets and stand guard. Then he went into the house with his sergeants. Our company stood upwind of the wagons, for the barrels had begun to stink. We blew on our hands and rubbed our arms and stomped our feet to get warm. Bits of ice bounced from the brims of our hats. They brung us to the wrong place, said Sylvanus. We're not going to march all winter, and then the British will shoot us dead. Brown coughed and muttered in agreement. No, Greenlaw said firmly. Look at the boot prints in the mud, the remains of the fire pits. He pointed behind us. You can even see where the tent pegs were driven into the ground. They were here. They ain't here now, Burns snarled. Here comes the sergeant, said one of the Janaks. Captain Stanwell and his officers walked out of the house as the falling ice turned into thick flakes of snow. The captain mounted the horse and started down the road that led west as the company scrambled to follow. Sergeant Woodruff hurried towards us, leapt into the wagon, and picked up the reins. What did you learn, Uncle? Eben asked. Where are we going? The army moved to a new camp. If we make haste, we might be able to catch it by nightfall. He turned up his collar. Captain said it's a more secure location. Let's hope he's right. Where is it, sir? I asked. Valley Forge.